Hey, what's up guys? It's Marf and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Battlefield 2042 beta. Now, yeah, I know it's been quite a while since the beta ended, but I wanted to go ahead and give you guys my thoughts anyway, since I know at least some of you guys are interested in Battlefield. I know it's a mobile focused channel, but I do like Battlefield on PC, and I've been playing Battlefield on PC for almost a decade now. So I thought I would go ahead and just give you guys my thoughts and whatnot. I am sort of planning on buying this game. I don't really know yet. We'll have to see how it goes. Maybe when it goes on sale, I'll purchase it, but I've always been a fan of Battlefield, so yeah, I'm really especially looking at Battlefield Portal. That looks absolutely amazing. But anyway, let's talk about the 2042 beta. So to get the big thing out of the way first, which are the specialists. And yeah, I don't really agree with the whole specialist thing. I completely understand from a business perspective. They want to monetize this, whether it's customization or even different perks and abilities. It's very obvious that that's the direction they're going in, and also that's the direction that FPS has been going for a really long time, just becoming more hero-based. Overwatch, Call of Duty even has heroes and whatnot. Modern Combat Versus had agents. So yeah, I mean, it was a long time coming that Battlefield would implement something like this. I mean, we got the elite skins in Battlefield 5, but honestly, I was hoping that's as far as they would go with that. But I honestly wasn't expecting them to go this far just because we already had the class system. And I figured that they could take that class system and sort of turn it into its own hero system or agent system or whatever they want to call it, because we've had these iconic figures from Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 as the medic, engineer, the recon, and the support class. We know those figures, we recognize them, and yeah, maybe they don't have specific names, but we all know who they are. And we all recognize them by their silhouette and by their looks. And so I would have thought that DICE would have taken advantage of that, but it looks like they didn't. And so not only am I disappointed with the changes they made in terms of gameplay balance, so with the ability that you can choose any weapon you want, but you also have these new abilities that are just crazy. Like, they just released gameplay footage of the new specialist, and one of them has a little wall hack thing, which in a Battlefield game is kind of ridiculous. I know, you know, we talk about these sort of wall hack gadgets in FPS games like COD and otherwise, and I'm not saying that Battlefield is some tactical FPS and that's why we need to get rid of this wall hack thing. I just mean in terms of dumbing it down and just giving players something that is really unnatural to the Battlefield experience. We rely on the mini-map and our hearing and our visuals, not just a wall hack, and especially in a mode like Breakout, where positioning is very important. You can just throw one of these at a common flag and there you go, there's all your enemies. Whether or not it's going to be overpowered or not, I don't really care. I just think that it's not something that really deserves to be in a Battlefield game. I mean, we had a futuristic Battlefield before in the form of 2142, and we didn't see any crap like this. So yeah, in terms of the different agent abilities, I definitely appreciate them. Like the grappling hook and the wingsuit especially are really cool. I definitely think, though, that those could have been just separate gadgets or some sort of perk rather than trying to change around this whole class system and introduce these specialists. So yeah, overall, I don't agree with the specialist change. I feel like we could have had our normal class system, but then within those class systems, we could have had different sort of specialists, and those would give you just different gadgets. I think that that might be a bit of a common ground that DICE could make, although they recently acknowledged the community feedback regarding agents, and instead of trying to discuss it, they just doubled down and say, hey, here's all the other agents, maybe you guys will like this. And of course, nobody did. So overall, yeah, I'm not too excited about the agents feature, or specialist, I guess. Now, does it completely ruin the Battlefield experience? No. So if they do decide to keep it, I think that especially having a game mode like, I believe they're calling it Breakout now instead of Operations or whatever they're calling it now, but you guys know that game mode where you have to take a sector, and it's almost like Rush in that sense, and that's the mode I prefer. I don't really like Conquest, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but I think especially in a game mode like that, it'll really feel more like Battlefield even with these specialists. So yeah, again, I think that they could do without them, but I don't think it's a game-breaking thing. So next up, let's talk about the feel of Battlefield, because obviously there are a lot of changes. We have a longer slide mechanism, the guns feel different, we can now reload while aiming down sight, and overall it basically looks like they copy-pasted a bunch of mechanics from Warzone. And it definitely felt like I was playing Call of Duty Warzone while playing the 2140, or wow, I almost said 2142, but the 2042 beta, and that is a bad thing. Now, they did address it in whatever little blog post that they, did recently about the beta, which I'm glad to see. But the Battlefield movement just felt very unique. Obviously, it feels arcadey, right? I mean, this isn't trying to be some super realistic tactical FPS. I hope it doesn't try and go that way. In fact, I like this more arcade style. But it felt unique. It didn't feel like COD. And in COD, everything feels very linear. It's a very hard thing to describe something like movement, but I'm glad that they're at least taking a step back from what they've done in the 2042 beta. But overall, I don't really like the changes because everyone was just sliding and jumping around, which just got kind of annoying really quickly, and I felt like it wasn't necessarily like an arena shooter, and I love arena shooters, don't get me wrong, but it just felt way too jumpy and crazy, like COD Warzone, where everyone was just sliding around. So yeah, I hope that they look into this movement system a bit more and try and revert it back to what it was like in previous Battlefield games. Now, the gunplay was off for me. I couldn't quite pin something down that I felt was incorrect or whatever. I do have to say sniping was awful in this game. The bullet velocity was way too slow, and it felt like player hitboxes were not as big as I would have liked them to be. So sniping was just not fun. In fact, the revolver felt more of a sniper than the actual sniper did. So I hope they look into that, or whether or not it's just that the gun that they gave us was like, I don't know, a starting gun or something like that. But overall, sniping was underwhelming. The rifling was okay. I think we really just have to experience more of the guns and the gunplay from different maps in order to get a good picture of what it's like. But it was just, I feel like the TTK could be a bit faster and the recoil could be less visual recoil. Like, a lot of the recoil in this game felt just visual, and so it wasn't necessarily controllable. It was just what we're seeing on screen. And that was an issue when Battlefield 4 came out, and they eventually fixed that. So I hope the same happens with 2042. But overall, I felt like the guns were not as satisfying as they were in previous games, but overall, they were serviceable in my opinion. Last but not least, I want to talk about the map and the mode. Now, we played Orbital on Conquest, and that was the only map and mode available, which was kind of disappointing. Overall, I'm not a fan of Conquest. As I mentioned before, I feel like everyone is just going in all different directions, or there's no linear combat where you, like I said, you know where the front lines are and you know where you want to advance, and there's no focal points. So Conquest, I feel, is like a battle royale where I can just be shot in the back of the head, and that I just can't do anything about that. And so that's why I enjoy game modes like Rush, Breakout, Operations. Those linear game modes is where I think Battlefield really shines. So I really want to wait until gameplay or maybe some sort of trial of those modes for 2042 before I just call this game a complete crap show until we see more of Portal. But overall, I don't think that this game mode and map really worked, especially because Orbital is just such an open map, and I feel like there wasn't a lot to do. I mean, I love the new zip lines. I love the verticality that some of the buildings offered. The rocket was just amazing. That was really fun to see take off and explode. But there were way too many just blatantly open areas. And I feel like the map was a bit too big, honestly. When they announced 128 players, I was excited that maybe we would get more dense fights. But instead, they just, expanded the maps, which I felt was just a dumb idea, because then it just means it just plays like previous Battlefield large maps where you only see a couple people every once in a while, and it feels like, again, you can just be shot in the middle of nowhere and have no idea what happened. So overall, I don't think that this map is really that good, and I have no idea what they plan to do for Hazard Zone, because if that game is, well, it will be kind of a once you're dead, and because this map is so open, it's just not gonna work. There's not gonna be enough cover or hidden areas to go through. It's just not a good map, in my opinion, especially for Conquest and something like I can imagine in Hazard Zone. So I don't know. Again, we'll have to look at those other maps to see how they handle Hazard Zone and, of course, the other modes in 2042. But overall, the map design, in my opinion, is not that great. Last thing I will touch on is the tornado. And I don't know if I have gameplay of it, because when I record gameplay on a really tense, very graphically intense game like Battlefield 2042, it gets really laggy, and so I have to wait a while to get my footage and see if everything recorded correctly. And unfortunately, a lot of my footage is corrupt, so hopefully I have enough to make this video. But the tornado was really cool, and I definitely enjoyed it. I'm glad that it's not like every round or whatever, but I also don't know if it really fits in this game. I mean, yes, Battlefield is crazy, and they're leaning into this crazy, massive battles with all this stuff going on, this chaos, and a tornado certainly throws that for a loop, but it's just way too cartoonish, in my opinion. I think this kind of crosses the line because, yeah, like most people have been saying in their videos, as soon as a tornado is spotted, everyone just stops fighting and just goes and jumps into the tornado, which is really fun to see all your enemies just kind of floating around with you and having a good time. But in a Battlefield match, I don't know, it does feel a bit out of place. Now, again, this does not appear all the time, and in fact, I believe I only encountered it like once or twice, so who knows, maybe it'll be fine, and maybe it'll be a good break from the normal Battlefield sort of gameplay where, you know, you've been playing for maybe an hour and you're kind of getting bored, and then all of a sudden you see a tornado and everything's okay because everyone is freaking out about it, and nobody is fighting, they're just playing in the tornado. So I don't know, I'm still kind of ambivalent on the tornado, but yeah, we'll just have to see. So anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on the 2042 beta in the comment section down below. Are you excited? Are you skeptical? Yeah, let me know, and I will see you guys later.